Biden administration is set to resume deporting Venezuelan migrants in an attempt to curb the surge of illegal crossings at our southern border. Good luck.
Yeah, and the White House battling backlash over plans to restart border wall construction. The president saying they had no choice.
Lucas Tomlinson is live at the White House with the latest. Is that true, Lucas?
It is true, Lawrence. And about face, as Carly just said, in a dramatic reversal, President Biden says he has no choice but to move forward with the construction of some new border wall, something he vowed repeatedly not to do in the past 2 years. Here he is yesterday.
One question on the border wall. The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't. They wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No.
Now, AOC disagrees with the president, posting the Biden administration was not required to expand construction of the border wall, and they certainly were not required to waive several environmental laws to expedite the building. The president needs to take responsibility for this decision and reverse the course. Biden's DHS chief says Congress is to blame, not the White House.
Day one, this administration has made clear that a border wall is not the answer. The construction project reported today was appropriated, funded during the prior administration in 2019, and the law requires the government to use these funds for this purpose.
Now, White House officials are rushing to the president's defense, posting, quote, the funds for about 20 miles of border reinforcements were appropriated in 2019 before the president took office. He called on Congress to reappropriate the funds for smarter, more effective enforcement uses. Congress failed to do so. Rule of law requires the project to be completed in 2023. Now, of course, in the past, guys, when the White House has had some issues with the law and court rulings, they've pushed back and have vowed to fight them. See also abortion and student loans. Guys?
Hey, Lucas, here's the thing. We did report 2 weeks ago that, or the New York Post had it, and we discussed it, that they were selling off pieces of the fence for pennies on the dollar. This is all related. So whatever we had, they can't put up what they no longer have. Weren't they violating the spirit or the actual sanctity of that law by doing that?
Well, it sounds like they need to use those funds to buy those portions of the wall back there, Brian.
Yeah, make some bids.
And the technology.
Indeed. Lucas, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Lucas. I was talking to Griff about this yesterday. Those portions of the wall that are rusting in the desert, that's not what they're going to put up here. They're going to put up something not 30 feet high, but maybe 15 to 18 feet high, essentially Jersey barriers. Yeah. And they're more flexible. So it's not the stuff they've already paid for. But, you know, for them to say, look, it's Congress did this, we have no choice. That's just a lot of malarkey, as Joe Biden would say. Look, you know, ultimately what has happened is I don't think Joe Biden ever thought he would get this kind of a backlash, because this has completely backfired on him. He never imagined that mayors in big Democratic cities and mayors and governors in Democratic states would demand a change. But these images are killing him. Right now, Joe Biden has a 23% approval rating on the border. And so keep in mind, we're about a year away from election, and he's tanking in the polls. So what's he going to do? He's going to pivot. Don't admit it. Just change the optics. Build an inch of wall and say you're deporting people, which they won't do. It's all about changing the message so they can say in the run-up to the election, hey, look.
So he's not even using that fence?
Not using that.
Look at that.
My favorite part of the press briefing yesterday, we're going to get to Peter Ducey, was the Telemundo reporter saying, didn't you break your promise to the immigrants here? You mean the illegal immigrants that are coming across the border? Then she says, what about the environment? So where was this reporter when Palestine was happening? And all those folks, because of the crash there, no mention of that. But, of course, the one reporter that's always asking questions to KJP is Peter Ducey.
As a candidate, President Biden didn't say there will not be another foot of wall constructed that except what was appropriated in 2019. He said there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration. So something changed. What?
You want us to break the law? Is that what you want? You want us to not comply with the law?
I'm not.
But you want us to not comply with the law. You want us to not be in administrations that follow the
You
rule
guys
of law.
do this all the time. The student loans, the student loan forgiveness program, you went to court to fight for that. If this is such a problem, building 20 miles of wall, why not just go to court?
We went to Congress. The Congress appropriates the funding.
Why not
Congress,
fight them more?
Congress appropriates the funding. We asked them to not use that funding for that particular purpose. They denied it, and now we're complying with the law.
So what they did is they have allowed the border to
A
totally
moment
collapse.
just to laugh. Brian, pause for a minute.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
that is some
man.
bad spin.
Yeah, no one's buying it.
And they're not even putting up the fence they're not supposed to be put up, if that reporting's correct. So there's already 2.388 million encounters at the border. If that number sounds high, it should. It's longer than any. It's higher than any in our history. Last year, a record is we already surpassed it. So now, instead of just saying, "Well, it's perception and mayors are going down there," this is a disaster. Yeah. There's been 500,000 Venezuelans that have come through, and now they sent their attorney general to Mexico City. They sent their secretary of state to Mexico City. You got the mayor of Chicago getting 50 buses over the last 2 weeks into his city. Now he's at the border. The mayor of New York is in 3 separate South and Central American cities. This is an embarrassment to this administration and to embarrassment to Senator Joe Biden, who in 2007 was saying we have to build a wall. We're not a country, and he tells NBC.
Yeah.
If we don't have control of our border, that's an infringement on our sovereignty. What happened to that guy?
He voted to support the 2006 Secure Fence Act, which put 600 or 700 miles of border wall up on our southern border. And now, fast forward to 2023, he's saying he doesn't think that border walls work. So you also have Mayor Eric Adams in Central America right now telling migrants face to face, don't come to my town. We cannot support you here. We are at max capacity. So, yeah, it's pretty clear to me that what's happening here is that it's 20 miles of border wall that they're building, and they're doing it because of all the Democrat mayors, Steve.
20 miles is nothing.
I know. You know what? That's so true. And it's nothing, Brian, and you're right about that. We on Fox and Friends First just talked to a rancher in New Mexico who he said he has a 3/4 mile stretch on his property of open border.
Alone.
And also on his property is all the fencing, millions and millions of dollars of fencing that all it needs to be do is just be put up. So this 20-mile stretch isn't going to do anything.
You never hear about New Mexico. It's a Democratic governor. He just lets his people suffer. He's worried about his politics. Here's what's the problem with Eric Adams. Do you know what he said before he left? I want the border open. We just have to decompress.
Yep. Right.
We have to decompress the pressure of the border. I want to help. Do you wonder why people in Venezuela who look at our
His
news?
actions and words don't
But
match.
that's the point, Brian. You can't tiptoe around this issue. They're trying to please both sides of their party.
Exactly.
They want to say, look, my city has been overrun, but look, we don't want to say that we're anti-immigrant. We don't want the progressive wing to say that we're pro MAGA, we're pro Republican by saying we want a border fencing, we want them to clog up the hole. And the thing is, you can't be like that on this issue. You can't do that because the folks that are crossing the border, they see it as a magnet every single time. Maybe you can come.
And you know, in the White House, they never in a million years thought that they would have the backlash from these Democratic mayors and governors. And that's why when we look at what's going on down there and we see a disaster, at the White House, they look at it and they see a disaster for re-election. So now they can say, you know what? We built more wall and we started deporting people.
Yeah.
So you know what? Where's the DNC this year? Chicago.
Yeah, that's so true.
The governors come out against this.
Oh, this is
the
gonna be
mayor's
great.
having a meltdown. The turning point for me will be those residents of Chicago who sat there and screamed and said, you're putting these illegal immigrants above us.
You
and we only
were
got
protesting outside the DNC.
That to me is the turning point on
We're
this
going
issue.
to be talking to one of
Such
those
a good
residents
point.
coming up.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.